home, hoping that you are all comfortable and safe and cozy in your own homes. And I want to extend my greetings on behalf of Rabbi Charlene. She wasn't able to make it tonight. She hasn't been feeling great. She's doing better. But it was nice for her to not have to prepare today, be bent over learning. So I did the learning for us today. Because it's Shabbat, even though perhaps we've already hit sundown, I'd love to invite Laura to join us to do the blessing over the Shabbat candles.
Okay, I am trying to, okay, here I am. Okay, all right. Let's see if this is going to work. Come on, before I light my fingers. Ah! This candle is...
You'll get it.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlich ner shel Shabbat. Amen. I just said it in English before we started. Now I can't remember. Praise
Blessed are
you,
you,
O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has commanded us to light the Shabbos candles. Amen.
Amen. And may this light bathe us all in Shabbat light. If you happen to have a sitter at home, I'm going to be on page 13 with Shalom Alechem, and I'm going to sing it with the 3 or 4 notes I actually own. Shalom Alechem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we wish you peace, ministering angels, the peace of Shabbat. And now with Anne's help, a Sabbath prayer. This could be found on page 14 if you have your sitter. Dear God, help us now to make this a new Shabbat. After noise, we seek quiet. After crowds of indifferent strangers, we seek to touch those we love. After concentration on work and responsibility, we seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inner selves. We open our eyes to the hidden beauties and the infinite possibilities in the world you are creating. We break open the gates of the reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others, and we reach toward one holy, perfect moment of Shabbat. So, in my notes, we are going to continue the service on page 28. And this is the portion of the service of the Shema. So if you are able and choose to, you could rise for the Baruch Hu. I have to look for a minute. My way east is this way, so I'm going to point that way. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach Leolam Vaed. And I'm going to continue in Hebrew and then I will read it in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim utfunav mishaneh itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakokavim b'mishrotehem berakir kirtsono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or Uma'avir yom umevin laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And what I said was, praised are you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe. Your word bringing the evening dusk. You open with wisdom the gates of dawn, design the day with wondrous skill, set out the succession of seasons, and arrange the stars in the sky according to your will. Adonai Tzavaot, you create day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness away from light. Eternal God, your sovereignty shall forever embrace us. Praised are you, Adonai, for each evening's dusk. And we turn now to page 30 for the page that I can't open, but which obviously I should know by heart, because this is what has often been said is the watchword of the Jewish people, the Shema. So please join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. And now we'll continue with the Via Hafta. And I'll read it in Hebrew, I'll chant it in Hebrew, and then I'll read it in English. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am b'shivtecha bevetecha uv'lektecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uktavtam Al mizuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti echem Me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiyot lechem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. And this is what we said. You shall love Adonai your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your might. And these words which I command you this day, you shall take them to your heart. Teach them diligently to your children and recite them at home and away night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Then you will remember and observe all my mitzvot and be holy before your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. And we turn now to also this theme song of the Jewish people. The truth is, in just a couple of weeks, we are going to be celebrating the remembrance of this incredible moment in Jewish life, perhaps the most significant gift the Jews gave to the world, the idea that no human being should ever be able to oppress and enslave another human being. And so we right now join our voices with Moses and Miriam and all of the people as they stand at Freedom Shore and sang this song. Now I have to remember how to sing it. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, no ra tehilot osei fele. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov v'gu'alo meyad hazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Goel Yisrael. And we sang, who is like you, Adonai, among all that is worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, and working wonders? As you divided the sea before Moses, your children beheld your sovereignty. This is my God, they proclaimed. And thus it is written, Adonai has rescued Jacob. God redeemed him from those more powerful. Praised are you, Adonai, Redeemer of the people Israel. All right, and we're continuing on. There's actually a lovely prayer, and I want to lift it up a little bit, the Hashkivenu. This has always taken on a special meaning to me when Rabbi Herman Scholman, who was one of the first rabbis I learned with, used to tell us that this was his favorite prayer in the whole of the Siddur, of the prayer book. And I'm going to read it in English, and perhaps you'll agree with me, or certainly agree with Rabbi Scholman. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praised are you, Holy One, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all God's people Israel, over Jerusalem and everywhere in the world, please God. And on page 34, I'm going to take the opportunity to just chant the Hatzi Kaddish, which is that little break between the beginning part of our service and the Amidah, the great standing prayer that we're going to do. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, בחייכון וביומכון ובחייתכו בית ישראל, בהגלה, בהגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולמיה almaya, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעלמין כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דהמירן בעלמא Vimaru, Amen. And that again is the lead in to the Amidah, the standing prayer, literally the central portion of our service where actually we say with words and replicate with words the service that we would have done in the temple, these many years ago. Actually, the service even reflected later in the little bit of Torah that I'm going to offer to you tonight. But this is the Amidah. And so if you can and you choose, you can rise, you can point yourself to east as we recite this. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufia gita hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh HaHakol V'Zocher Hasdei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Lifnei V'Nehem L'Ma'an Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Upoked Sarah Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechaye Metim Atav Shia Meshiv Haruach Umorid Hageshem Mechachel Chaim B'Chesed Mechaye Meitim Berachamim Rabim Sohomech Noflim Verofe Holim Umatir Asurim Kayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Baal Givurot Umidom Melach Melech Meimit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot meitim Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hametim Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalucha selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. And even though we are not together, this is a time we're going to get ready to read a little Torah. So I would like to offer everybody a moment for Tefillat Halev, the prayer of the heart. And I'll join you back in a moment. I'll let you continue with your personal reflections. And this would be the portion of the service, if we were together at the shul, that we would be getting ready to take the Torah out of the ark and to do that lovely moment of undressing and that anticipation of the words of Torah, which obviously we're not going to do here today. But I would like to orient us a little bit into where the Torah is, the reading is right now, and particularly as it is connected to this time of the Jewish year. And additionally, what is this little bit of Torah that I'm going to offer you? What does it teach us about life in general? And I'll leave it like that. We'll assume that we'll resume the discussion in a moment. But where are we? We are in Leviticus. Actually, I'll be reading from chapter 10 from Vayikra is the Hebrew name of the book. I love it. Vayikra meaning he summoned, he called, God calls us, and we get throughout the book of Leviticus lots and lots of rules about the temple sacrifices, about the life of the Kohanim, the priests, all of this intense and significant material, which hasn't been relevant in almost 2,000 years. We haven't had a temple in 2,000 years. But that does not necessarily make what we're going to be learning irrelevant. Indeed, I hope that what we come away with is understanding how significant these ideas were, regardless of a temple and just as ideology. So, where are we in the story? And again, if any of you had Leviticus as your Torah portions for B'nai Mitzvah, you might be rolling your eyes because it's a lot of laws, it's a lot of rules, and sometimes it's hard to hear the story in there. But the story is still going on. So where are our people? Well, they've escaped Egypt with God's and Moses's outstretched arm, and they have crossed the Red Sea. They are in the wilderness. They're dealing with all of the details of what it means to not be living in a city and in a community. And quite frankly, the Jews are not always so happy about how things are turning out at the moment. A lot of kvetching going on. But despite that kvetching, they end up at the foot of Sinai, not seamlessly, but Moses does go up to the top of the mountain, not just once, twice, but 3 times, and brings God's law down to us. Again, it wasn't necessarily a smooth landing because in the midst, the people got worried that Moses wasn't coming back. They built an idol. God wasn't happy. But finally, they got the job done. Moses comes back with the Torah. Now the people are getting ready to build, well, they've been building a Mishkan, a traveling tabernacle to take with them so that God will always be with them and they will always be able to make their sacrifices. And until we get to this chapter 10 in Vayikra, what's been going on is the actual use of the temple space and the actual implementation of these ritualized sacrifices. And as we get up to this beginning part of chapter 10, the people they've seen all these sacrifices. They've had God be in a pillar of fire and in a cloud by day. All these amazing, miraculous things have been happening. And we get to chapter 10, and things are going to get strange. Now, since we're not bringing the Torah out of the ark, we're not saying the normal Torah blessings. But what we're doing here is we're studying Torah. And there is a blessing for that. And I'm going to say that blessing for us, and I'll repeat it in English, and we will have then blessed our study. And the blessing goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotov, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Holy One, King of the universe, sovereign of anything, who sanctifies us with God's commandments and commands us to engage in the words of Torah. And that's what we're going to do. It's harder to read it from a paper than from the Torah. Vayikhu v'nei Aharon, Nadav v'Avihu, Ish machtato, vayitnu, v'hem ish, ish, v'ya'asimu, aleha ketoret. And so the sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, each took for themselves their own fire pan. And in that fire pan, they placed fire and put incense on top of it. Vayak rivu lifnei Adonai eish zara asher lo tziva otam. And then they came and offered before Adonai a strange fire, an eish zara, which Adonai had not commanded. V'tetze eish milfanai Adonai v'tochal otam. And so a fire came out from before Adonai and consumed them. Veyamutu lifnei Adonai, and they were dead before Adonai. Vayomer Moshe el Aharon, hu asher diber Adonai, lemor bikrovai ekadesh va'al pnei kol ha'am kaved. And he says, Moses says to Aaron, this is what the Holy One meant by saying, through those near to me, I show myself holy and gain glory before all the people. V'yadom Aharon. Vayidom Aharon. And silent was Aaron. So just to sort of explain what these three verses meant, they've just had an amazing consecration. The fat's been burned, the libations had been given. There is this aura of joyousness, jubilation that this all worked, and they made their sacrifices to God. And Aaron, the high priest, who had 4 sons, 2 of them came forward and offered Eish Zarah, strange fire. The only clue we get about it is God didn't command it. And God's response to this strange fire was to send out a fire that basically spontaneously combusted Nadav and Avihu. Indeed, the Midrash teaches us that all that was left of them was their intact clothing, which had to be taken out of the camp. This happens. Moses, standing dumbstruck watching this as his brother's 2 children are killed, says, oh, this is how God's showing us his holiness. And the silence should be what God's showing holiness by killing Aaron's sons. But more importantly, what is Aaron's response? Aaron is silent. So here's what I have to offer you in a more organized way. Again, think about this scene for a moment. What is the right thing to say to someone who has experienced the unthinkable, the unimaginable? How can we comfort someone who is in acute grief? What are the right words? We have the best intentions. We want to try to fix grief. We want to remove pain. Surely there must be something that we can do. One of the hardest parts of my nursing life, and certainly now as a rabbi and as a hospital chaplain, is knowing what to say. When confronted with people who are experiencing the worst day of their lives, people who are experiencing loss and grief, because the truth that we all know while we confront this is these are unfixable moments. There is nothing that can be said or even done in the moment. There is no secret stash of magical words that can comfort people. Indeed, some of the most painful moments I have witnessed are loving family members telling a woman who has had a miscarriage, "You're young, you'll have plenty of children." That is not only what she doesn't want to hear, it's the last thing she needs to hear. It is as if you negate that baby's life when you say that, but people just want to offer comfort. This week's Parsha addresses this. In the midst of a huge celebration of consecrating the Mishkan, all of this work that the people have put into it, their valuables, and in making the first sacrifices, Nadav and Avihu, Aaron's sons, offer an Eish Zarah, a strange fire that the Holy One did not command. And God's response was to send out holy fire that consumed Nadav and Avihu completely, killing these sons of Aaron and these sons of Aaron. And Moses, in a scene way too familiar to me, perhaps trying to console his brother in this horrible moment, remarks that this was the way for the Holy One to show their glory over the not even the corpses of his brother's two sons. At least on Moses's behalf, he did not say, well, you still have two other sons. And of course, the text tells us, Vayidom Aharon. Aaron was silent. In the midst of Aaron's deep grief, in his tragedy, Aaron was silent. Our tradition teaches that sometimes silence is the best of communications. In Pirkei Avot, which is wisdom literature for the Jews, written somewhere around the time of the Mishnah, 200 of the Common Era, in Pirkei Avot, chapter 4, Mishnah 18, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, do not try to appease your friend during the hour of his anger, nor comfort him at the hour while his dead still lies before him, nor question him at the hour of his vow, nor strive to see him in the hour of his disgrace. Rabbi Shimon is teaching that while words can be harmful in situations of grief, nevertheless, we must acknowledge each other's pain. We must support each other when loss has occurred. We must be there for each other. So if we can't say anything, how do we do that? Well, it happened that I was discussing this very thing with my teacher, who has since become my friend and my colleague, Rabbi Michael Davis. I know some of you know him. We were talking about this recently. And because he recently suffered a loss. His mother passed away. And so this has been on his mind. Recently, we spoke about what can you offer someone who is grieving that is more than presence, but will avoid the possibility of saying something that might be painful. And Rabbi Davis came up with a really good idea. And he said, just simply ask, how are you? Don't offer words of comfort or solace. Ask, well, I'll tell you what he said. This phrase lets the grieving person know that you're not fixing anything for them. You're not telling them how to grieve or expecting anything from them. What you are doing when you ask that question is giving somebody space. Space that if they want to express themselves, they can. And you are also giving someone, as the asker, you are saying to them, I am present to hear you, to hear your words, whatever they are, if you have any of them, and to receive and to hold them with you. How are you? I actually never really thought about it that way. And again, he explained it with this idea that you're not asking for something, you're not telling something, you're not offering something. You are saying, when you say, how are you? I'm here to receive. If you don't want to give me anything, you don't have to. But I'm here for you. My wish, of course, for all of us, is that we never find ourselves in situations of needing to comfort those experiencing loss. But that is a wish that I know will never be fulfilled. For to live is ultimately to have to let go. But we can respond to the grief of our community with a bit more than silence. We can ask, how are you? And so I have learned from this week's Torah portion. We have an opportunity, once I find my papers, while the virtual Torah, the metaphorical Torah, the Torah that I have just offered out here into the ether is in our midst, to say a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing for all of those people in our lives that we know are struggling with something, a healing of body, a healing of spirit. I'm not going to read a list of names. We all know people who need to have a lifted spirit, a blessing. Truly, the Middle East is in need of our blessing. They are in need of healing and they are in need of peace. And indeed, much of the world is suffering a lot of different things. And we have an opportunity now to put those good healing energies and blessings out in the world. So I ask everybody to take a moment and visualize in their mind's eye people that they're concerned about, people that they're worried about. Maybe it's yourself. And hold those people for a moment. And I will say the Misha Berach and I'll translate it. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel Hu Yivarek v'Rofeh et HaCholim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Alehem Lahachlimam ul Rafotam Lahachazikam ul Hachayotam v'Yishlak Lehem Mehera Rafua Shlema Rafua Tanefesh Rafua Taguf B'Tok Sha'ar Cholei Yisrael Hashta ba'agala uvizman kariv nomar amen. And here is what I said. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bless and heal all who are ill and suffering tonight. May the Holy One, the fount of blessing, shower abundant mercies upon them, fulfilling their dreams of healing and strengthening them with the power of life. Merciful One, restore them, heal them, strengthen them, enliven them. Send them a complete healing from the heavenly realms, a healing of body, a healing with soul, together with all who are ill, soon, speedily, and without delay. And let us say, Amen. Well, when you don't have all the pageant and circumstance of taking the Torah out of the ark and putting the Torah back in the ark, etc., we tend to come up with a little less time, but perhaps we'll get done a little bit earlier and you can savor a little bit more of your Erev Shabbat night. But we do have a little more business to take care of first. So that is, we turn to, if you have a siddur, page 183 for the Yelenu. And again, I'll chant in Hebrew and then read it in English. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula leotzer breshit shelo asanu kagaye haratzot velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem vegohor aleinu kechohamonam Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim veyoser aretz umoshev yikaro bashamayim mima'al ushignatu zo Begov he meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, hemet malkeinu efazulato, kakahatu betorahato, ve'yadata hayom, ve'hashivota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, bashahamayim mima'al, V'al haaretz, mitachat ein od. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. And what I said was, we rise to our duty to praise the maker of all, to acclaim the creator. God made our lot unlike that of other people, assigning to us a unique destiny. We bend the knee and bow, acknowledging the supreme sovereign, the Holy One, exalted, who spread out the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth, whose glorious abode is in the highest heaven, whose mighty dominion is in the loftiest heights. This is our God, there is no other. In truth, God alone is our ruler, as it is written in the Torah. Know this day and take it to heart that Adonai is God in heaven above and earth below. There is no other. In a moment, we're going to say Kaddish Yatom. I'm going to call some names, but I'd like to invite Laura, our president, for some announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. And Rabbi, thank you for a really beautiful sermon and service and punching at the last minute and throwing this together. We really appreciate it.
Well, there are not people I love more than all of you, and I'm very happy to do that. So
thank you. And thank you, Anne, so much.
Anne,
for your beautiful signing. Thank you. And we wish Rabbi Shar a speedy recovery, and we hope that she'll be back in live in person next Shabbat. Good Shabbos, everybody. Want to let you know that from April 8th to the 12th, our executive director, Barbara Weiner, will not be in the office, but you can leave voicemails and we will get back to you if you have, if you need help with something. We're also taking registrations for our Seder, second Seder, the 23rd of April. So you can pay online or you can call the temple after she gets back to pay with a credit card.
Is that Tuesday night? Is that Tuesday night?
Yes, the 23rd. September 8th, we're going to be having a big benefit. So save your dollars. It's a big fundraising concert. So put that down on your calendar. We're having a safety and active shooter training Monday, April 15th, 1 to 3 at the temple. So we could use some more people to come to that. It's good to just know how we can keep ourselves safe. You can come to our Shabbat services next Friday, the 12th, 7:30, Friday, the 19th, 7:30, and Kabbalah is the 27th of April, which is a Saturday at 10:30 in the morning. Get your reservations in for the second Seder. And we're going to do a Yom HaShoah observance on May 5th. So it should be very beautiful. Rabbi Shar is putting together a program. And a good Shabbos, everybody. And we hope to see you next Friday. And thank you again, Rabbi Marcy.
Shabbat Shalom, my pleasure. Not that Shar isn't feeling good. I would like her to be healthy. So sorry, just trying to find my page. There we go. 184. Now let me see that I make sure that I get this correct. We have both people who are still saying Kaddish for regularly. I'm going to say those names, and then we're going to say the names of people whose anniversary of their death that we're observing. So we are currently in mourning and for the following: Ava Aries, Janet Fredericks, Belle Gobzer, Gloria Zeev, Kathy Bowler, Albert Stone, Eric Markowitz, Maggie Bird, Shirley Feld, Jim Hetzel, Walter Lehman, Chaya Sura Ben Meyer, Lisa Rosen, and Cameron Grace Estrich. And we are observing the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of the following dear people: Elsie Abramson, Anne Marie Colbin, Leonid Gurevich, Elaine Ovadenko, Lawrence Scheinberg, Joan Silvern, Jack Toff, Milton Trey. And please feel free to add the names of any dear people that you are remembering or mourning for right now. If you have a sitter, Kaddish Yatom can be found on page 184. And I will chant, I will say it in Hebrew and I'll read it in English too. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divra hirute v'amlik malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchayetecho Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach leolamo me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudusha brihu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. And here is what we said. You know what? There is not a translation of this. So great is God's name, bless God forever would be the best way to translate this. Oh, wait, I have an English translation. Don't go away. When you're not as used to a sitter, you don't know all the tricks. Okay. May God's name be exalted and hallowed throughout the world that he created, as is God's wish. May God's sovereignty soon be accepted during our life and the life of all Israel. And let us say, Amen. May God's great name be praised throughout all time, glorified and celebrated, lauded and worshiped, exalted and honored, extolled and acclaimed. May the Holy One be praised beyond all song and psalm, beyond all tributes that mortals can utter. And let us say, Amen. Let there be abundant peace from heaven with life's goodness for us and for all Israel and for everyone in the world. And let us say, Amen. May the one who brings peace to his universe bring peace to us and to the whole world. And let us say, Amen. I'm going to wish you, we could sing a song, but I'd be singing by myself. So instead, I want to wish each and every one of you the beauty and the peace of Shabbat. Let that light fill your soul. Let that light keep your soul nourished and fed through the coming week until Shabbat comes around again. Shabbat shalom. I think, Laura, I can conclude.